recording. So, welcome again, everyone, to the CCS Development Days. My name is Rock, and one of my favorite tanks to play is Anubarak. And so we'll be kind of quickly going over today some of the basics, some of the talent diversities that exist, kind of when to pick Anubarak, when not to pick Anubarak, what he's good at, and kind of some of his weaknesses. So, just kind of starting off with the generic base kit. The Q is pretty simple. It's a line stun. The one thing that you have to watch out for when you use this stun, though, is that it has a travel time. And so when you use your stun, you will not instantly stun anyone that's there. So this is a pro and a con. You can use this to your advantage because you can pre-prep your stun when someone's coming out of cocoon, or like you need to stun someone from range while you're retreating. So it's like this makes that zone unpenetrable for a couple seconds, versus like if it's Rainer, you shoot your Q and you miss, you're done. Anubarak has a little bit of wiggle room on that ability. So that's kind of neat. Exoskeleton or Hardened Carapace, pretty much just a shield, but the biggest thing is that it gives him spell armor. So Anubarak tends to be really good into mages, specifically like KT and Jaina, where the burst periods are very short and predictable. You're able to just absorb the damage that's there. As funny as it sounds, Ming tends to be a quote-unquote counter to Anubarak because Ming can remove his cocoon, but he does really well into Ming too because he can body all of the orbs and things that are coming with that spell armor. And that gets increased even further if you decide to take the spell armor at 1, meaning that he has 60% reduced damage. Mongoose, you're a troll. Thank you. Um, so the other thing that's special about Anubarak, obviously, is E. I was talking just briefly earlier with Unicycle and a couple others that his E actually is the hardest part about his kit. When to go in and when not to go in, as well as the areas that you actually can stun. So I'm going to turn off toggle cooldowns for a second. I am going to try my best to stun literally on top of me. So I'm going to push the button as fast as I can. You can't. You literally cannot stun right on top of yourself, even if you wanted to. So because of that, you always want to be planning on your E's. How far do you need to travel? Like, technically, yes, this stuns anyone that's right next to you because of how big your body's indicator is, but it's really hard to just spam it and to actually hit it because you'll be sitting here trying to hit whatever's in range of you, and you can see I kind of just dig forward. There's not really any way to control that. So better when you're stunning with your E is to just try and give yourself a little bit of room so you can control when you come out. So usually that means you want to engage with your E instead of your Q. But also, Anubarak kind of has that fine line. If you engage with your E, now you have no out. So you really need to be able to kind of judge and read the situation to figure out what's best there. So that kind of covers his basic kit real quick. We'll do just a level 10, and then we'll talk about, besides talents, when to play him and what to do. So level 1, all 3 talents are very viable, and you need to pick them in different situations. If you watch the most recent CCL matches, a fun Anubarak player to watch is Lauber. He does a great job of playing Anubarak, and he actually was one of the first ones I've seen since Anubarak kind of came back into the meta to take Regeneration Master. So, Regeneration Master, there's a good chance you are not finishing this quest until 16, 17, 18. Picking up 30 globes, it's like the best map to do that would be on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and every minion camp or every wave comes 30 seconds. So that means that you would have to get 10 waves perfectly to get, or sorry, that'd be 20. You'd have to get, you have to get 30 waves. So that would be 30 times 3. So yeah, you're looking at least 7 minutes to try and even have an attempt to complete this quest. So the main reason you're taking it is because you think you're going to get blown up late game. Say they're running a Taunt Varian, and all they plan on doing is as soon as you show or as soon as you engage, there's going to be a taunt, there's going to be a silence. So it's like they're just trying to blow you up. This can be huge. because that gives you the extra HP to live. Because honestly, Anubarak is very squishy for a tank comparatively to other tanks. A lot of his survivability is in magic damage. He's not the squishiest tank. Like even ETC has less health than him. So it's like, but it's one of those things where you have to watch out for what you're doing. And after his nerfs, which is almost like 2 years ago, they made it to where you actually have to push W and be responsible about it. His cooldown used to be like 5 seconds, and so you literally could just spam W, and you would like never ever have to worry about dying. So they changed that because he was kind of broken. So, so Regeneration Master, you're looking to get blown up, you need the extra health. Don't take this into like Tychus, because you're just making him kill you faster. Spell Armor actually works into Tychus when he has his D active. For some reason, percentage health counts as magic damage, so getting increased magic armor can help you. You may not want to pick Anubarak into Tychus, but it can help you if you're kind of stuck. One of the best ones on one here is actually Legion of Beetles, and this one here is kind of tricky because you have to toggle it. If you don't toggle it, you're going to look like a dummy. Like you're going to be sitting here waiting in a bush, ready to gank. You're waiting for that tasty volley to come out, and then all of a sudden your beetle walks out and she knows you're there. And then it's wasted. But as you can see with the beetles grant you vision. And the other cool thing is they will go to the nearest lane or the nearest enemy. So like if I'm like over here in a bush waiting and I toggle my beetle on, they'll run to the nearest lane and they give me all this vision. And so this is huge because Anubarak no longer has to face check things when he's unsure of where he's going. He can just drop a beetle. Whether it be you drop a W and your beetle pops out, or this level 1 talent, you don't have to waste your mana, and you just on demand, I need to see if they're in this bush, I drop a beetle. You know what I mean? It's like, and the beetle will run out and go do the vision checking for you. So it's a little difficult because you have to position yourself correctly. If you watch where the beetles come from, so for example, I'm going to push W here, the beetle always comes out on the left-hand side. I'm going to toggle my number 1, and you see how the beetles came out on this side. So for some reason, it's not really like absolutely consistent on where the beetles come out, but it has to do kind of with the terrain and the angles that you're at. But what's great is that the beetles prioritize heroes, so as soon as your beetle finds a hero, it will actually go chase them. So it's one of those things that is quite nice. So even though you may not know they're in the bush, you can drop your beetle, it'll walk towards the nearest lane or toward the nearest enemy depending on your positioning. So he's a great vision tank, and it's one of those things that can be huge on maps like Battlefield of Eternity or Spider Queen, Dragonshire. You've got that triangle of death that you don't want to necessarily be walking through by yourself. And so, you know, from the south, Anubarak can kind of walk up into the safe zone between, like if you imagine real quick that the triangle's like right here. This is your camp. So it's like you can kind of walk up and drop a beetle, and it will walk up into the lane and check both of those bushes for you. I'm getting a little bit of feedback there, so I'm going to mute you real quick, Mr. Scott. I cannot. Oh, thank you. So, but yes, so that can be very helpful for your tanking and making sure that you have vision of those so you don't walk in. Because one of the things that does suck about Anubarak is if you're not able to push your W, you don't have your survivability mechanism. So he can be blown up very quickly with a very good CC chain. So having that vision can be big. Kind of jump into level 4. Once again, all 3 of these are very good and have different purposes. So Bed of Barbs, I think, is the default, just because it gives you a slow, which helps a lot of your teammates, but it also creates more vision and does damage over time. So if someone's trying to channel an objective, say it's like you now have a poke, and it's not just a poke, it actually has arranged and it stays there. You can see the barbs kind of stick in the ground. And it's great for vision too, for an angle where there's no way a beetle ever walks into this bush. You know what I mean? Like it can't happen. So when you need to check something, you can use your Q, and it will keep vision there for a little bit longer because the spikes are on the ground. So I love that talent for vision, as well as it helps your team engage and follow up on what you're doing. So if you decide to engage in, you can throw your stun, and now they're slowed on top of that, and they'll hopefully be able to catch up to what you're doing. So to me, that's kind of your default talent if you don't know what to pick. The other ones can be very good. Exoskeleton, the movement speed, is no joke. kind of like on ETC when you take speed metal. It's one of those things where you use this talent to make sure that you're getting out of dodge, but also body blocking. Anubarak is a really big body compared to other players, so he actually is very easy to body block with. Let me quickly just summon an enemy while we're talking. Sure, let's get Vala in here so that way we can blow somebody up too. But as we go through, you're going to see that he can kind of like stand in chokes, kind of like how Deathwing and May do stuff, and prevent people from walking around. So it's pretty strong. So the movement speed can really get you that edge to get you around that person that you're trying to body block. So just to kind of show the difference for what you're looking at. I'd say like you get quite a bit of movement speed for running around, and then you actually can start circling laps around people. So I don't know if I can make Vala retreat, but I'm going to try. Come on. No, she's not going to run. Okay, whatever. So, going on to the other level 4. The other level 4 is range and damage. So Underking is really good into the type of turrety people, so like Chromie and Hammer. So it's like you can get a lot done by having the extra range. So it's something that to really be thinking about, but it also comes at a price, because if you take the extra range, like here's your normal E range. If you take the extra range, don't get me wrong, it is extra range. It's like a whole 1.5 to 2 Anubarak bodies worth of range. But you're now extra further away from your team. So if you go to engage, you may be now just too far away for them to follow up on. So this has to be kind of picking with purpose, in my opinion. So it's like the extra damage can be nice to help you do like a one-shot type of comp, but you really need to make sure that your team is in position. Like, yes, you have the bonus range, so you can do some cheeky stuff. So like on Tomb of the Spider Queen, each of those rows in the middle, you know, it's like you can see over them if you have vision, but they can't see you if you're on this side. Kind of like Hogger's Hortapult, you can jump the entire wave and engage from out of nowhere and get stuns. So it can be very tricky and very helpful, but just be careful if you take this talent, you may put yourself out of position trying to stun people further than you can actually reach. Jumping to level 7, if this is kind of where if you go a specific set of talents, you kind of need to commit to the talents. So if you decided to take movement speed on W here, so it's like you highly want to consider taking the reduced Carapace cooldown then. You don't have to, but what this does is anytime you take damage from any ability, it reduces the cooldown up to 3 seconds. So into like Lunara or Gul'dan, people that do dot damage, Tychus, Tracer, so it's like you actually get to spam the crap out of your W's. It will be up all the time because you are constantly getting hit with dot damage. And most people don't adjust their playstyle to not give you free W's. So the more W's you cast, the more shields you get, and the more often your spell armor's up. And so if you were to tie that with movement speed, then the movement speed lasts for 3 seconds. So if you reduce the cooldown of your W, you pretty much can run around a team fight at permanently 30% movement speed. So, as I said, I'm like, if you're planning on, you know, based on their team, you need this, then definitely you might want to think about grabbing the movement speed. Then on the other ones on 7 would be Burrow Charge Grant Shield. So this shield is really nice, especially if you're diving in deep and you're potentially going to be alone for a few seconds. Because as soon as Anubarak dives in, that's when he's most vulnerable. He cannot really do anything by himself. Yes, he has 2 stuns, but if you took the really long dig and now you're like on an island for 5 seconds, that at least gives you a 1/6 of your health in shields.
Choose a talent.
And it doesn't go away. And then you can spam W. You can see that I almost have now a 1/4 of my health is in shields. So it can be very helpful, but I think the current go-to for this talent is actually the Beatles Heal Anubarak. And it's mainly because to me, it feels like when you engage on somebody, if you throw out your E and you throw out your Q, So it's like, if this target doesn't die, say it's like you did something wrong. Like your team didn't follow up, the support did their job, whatever it may be. So the amount of shields that I get from this tend to be wasted because I literally CC'd this person to death and they died. So like I didn't really get any value out of shields when I engaged there. But like if you're diving into like Sergeant Hammer or anyone else that really likes to turtle up, Chromie, say it's like stuff where it's like you literally need to be able to survive the front end of that engage, yeah, go ahead and take the shields. But the amount of healing that you get from the beetles is kind of nuts. And so I'll quickly try and show that so we can keep moving. So I'm just going to get wailed on by the boss here. So the beetles, the talent, the way that it reads, is that the beetles gain bonus attack damage and they heal Anubarak for the damage they do. So if we just drop all of our beetles here for a second, so I'm going to spam all my abilities once. I don't even have to be here anymore, but the beetles still heal me. So like this gives you so much sustain when you're like having to wave clear or catch waves or do other things. Sorry, my number 1 was toggled, so we got extra beetles. But gives you that little bit more of survivability in team fights as well, because you're going to be dropping all those beetles, and once you drop them, they stay on the battlefield. They're still doing damage. They're still hitting things. So it's like, so they're going to keep healing you over time. And the beetles last, what is it? It's like 4 seconds? They last for 8 seconds. So they're not going to get, obviously, 8 auto attacks in because they don't attack that fast. Each of the beetles only attack, does it tell you? No, it doesn't. I think each of the beetles only attack, like, let's see here. 2, 3, 4. They attack at about 1 attack per second, and that's with the increased attack speed. So hypothetically, you will get more healing over time from 2 beetles than you would the shield, and they'll live longer. So don't sleep on this talent. You don't have to go full beetle build for this one. Jumping to 10, almost everybody plays Cocoon. Like I said, it's one of the main reasons you pick a Anubarak is you can 100% make every team fight a 4v5. You can use this to prepare engages. You can use this for counter engages. One of the fun things to do is if you're playing into Diablo or into ETC, Mei, so it's like they want to engage really hard on you. So Mei is going to, slide in and drop her ice wall on your team, right? So it's like, so as soon as you see her sliding, she's not unstoppable. You can just cocoon her. And so now she's stuck in deep, and either you can just walk past Mei and go kill her team, or you can set up your own counter engage where everybody's ready. It's pinging on here, hey, we want Mei when she comes out. And so then you can start with your E and run your Q and just get your combo on top of her to make sure that she CC'd for the duration. So Cocoon has a lot of uses. The one thing that you need to be worried about is who you're cocooning every fight. Like, it's not necessarily a you must cocoon the healer, you must cocoon the tank. Like, as a team, you need to kind of understand what's going to cause you problems. In a lot of the current meta, a lot of people like playing Tychus, a lot of people like playing Cassia, a lot of people like playing Diablo. Say it's like even Joe, but Joe probably is going to fall off or change with the rework. But depending on what your team's goal is, say it's like if you're trying to wombo combo somebody and you get a chance they're by themselves in the lane showing, you can cocoon that person and then just wait and just start zoning, making sure nobody's coming to help him, and just feel free to get that kill once the combo's up, so that way you can hit everything that you need to. Feel free to kind of practice that as far as your timing of the cocoon. It's kind of nice, like Mei's Ice Wall. You can see when it's going to happen. The one thing that does make it difficult is that the enemy can attack the cocoon, and it will help them come out faster. So you need to watch out for heroes that have really fast attack speeds. It's not actually like a set amount of damage. It's attacks per second. So if you have like a Lucio or a Tychus or a Gul'dan that does the dot damage, like it will come out real quick. I know on my team, Waniba likes using Stukov to break cocoon. Like he'll throw the silencing arm on top of the cocoon, and it will kill it all by itself. And Stukov can kind of stay in a safe position instead of trying to walk up and hit it with his big fat arm. So, just quickly finishing out the rest of the talents so we can get to your guys' questions. Locus Swarm. So, Locus Swarm, I have found the most usefulness out of it at 20. And so it really sucks picking a talent when you're not going to get value out of it until 20. So this is something where I think you're going to be using it on more of like an offlane Anubarak, or if your team is going for some sort of like infinite CC, we don't really need damage, we just need to kill stuff. I think it can work pretty well in Storm League because a lot of the time your healers or folks may not be following up on Cocoon correctly. And so just your 2 stuns alone and then adding bonus damage can help and can also heal you a little bit. But it's honestly not great. Like 20 is when it actually becomes a thing. At 13, you kind of continue your trend. If you took all W's and you're now reducing the CDR of your W, you should take W's do damage. It's one of those things where it's like it does damage to everyone and does double damage to heroes. The one thing that's tricky about this W is you see AoE damage and you think, oh, like, that's his wave clear talent, you know? It's like, that's the one I want. I picked everything that's got a picture of a W on it, so this is for wave clear. It actually does not wave clear very well. I said the bonus damage, it says it does 175 to enemies and double damage against heroes. So if we just toggle the minions, I'm going to show real quickly the difference between the Hardened Carapace and the Burning Beetles. So most of the time, if you're forced to clear a lane as a Anubarak, you're going to probably just throw all of your buttons at it. And it still clears it pretty fast. But it's one of those things where if you were instead going to take...
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
I think I took the wrong talent there. It doesn't matter for this.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
If you take Burning Beetles instead... The beetles themselves... Did I pick the talent? Okay, I did. They do 46 damage per second. So instead of you having to... and you do AoE fire damage. So, like, they're essentially the same amount of wave clear without you having to spam abilities, and you can leave the beetles to do whatever you want. So if you... when you're sieging buildings, say it's like you get to bring all of your beetles with you, and they now do AoE damage just like you. And you don't necessarily have to even use abilities on the creep wave anymore. You can just spawn your own normal beetles, as well as spam W's, and they'll clear the wave by themselves. So, I definitely think you have to kind of pick from the early on. If you're going to be using this, it's because you're getting the CDR from the Chitness plating. I don't think this works very well by itself. Like, the double damage versus heroes is quite nice, but like, if Anubarak is clumping and hitting 4 heroes with his Wombo combo stun, like, they're dead already. The extra damage from that is not much more different. So, it's not going to be you that makes the damage. It's going to be your DPS that kills them. But, if you do need damage, Acid Drenched Mandibles is amazing. Flat out, like, any hero that's stunned, rooted, or slowed gets bonus damage from you. You can almost like vary and start picking off squishies by yourself, especially if you end up having the slow from Bed of Barbs and the damage that comes with it. So just throwing all of my abilities, yes, I'm level 20, but just throwing all of my abilities at one target, like say Anna's at a position or something, I can throw all of my abilities at one target and my shields are gone, I'm going to walk away. That's 2,800 damage. So if I was to instead... Oops, I just want to toggle talents.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
So taking the Acid Drenched Mandibles instead and throwing all of my abilities at something. 2, 3, 4. So you do about 2,700, 2,800 damage in the same thing, but the main difference between those is that you're doing active damage on the target you want to kill, and it lasts longer because it's for every instance of your stuff. So if you hit someone with your Q, say it's like you're hitting a slow target here, and you're still getting the bonus damage, and as soon as they're stopped being slowed, that was 3 seconds, you can then hit them again with your other one, and you get the bonus damage for another 3 seconds. So you kind of have to like space your stuff out a little bit, which is a little different than your most Anubarak play, but you can get some good burst damage with that Acid Drip Mandibles. Don't sleep on it. But I would think your standard would be Beetles. And then at 16, this is again a very situational talent tier, kind of like Varian. You can choose which banner you want. These definitely depend on what you're going for. If they have double healer, or they have a very strong mage that's blowing you up, take Debilitation. It's amazing. If enemies are hit by either of your two abilities, their spell damage and spell power is reduced by 50%. So that works really well into double heals as well as into mages. And so being able to just throw out your Q and get that spell damage reduction can be the difference between them getting a save on a hero or them actually dying. And you can see with the little like target dummy when they have their reduced spell damage. Then at 20, there's only one trap talent. Please, 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 please do not take Crip Weave. it has its moments, but it's not what you think. They finally take damage while they're inside of it. I have not found enough situations to recommend using this. It's kind of funny. If you've never taken it, I'll just show it real quick. So while you're near it, you can see the circle. It will keep them in longer. Like, you can almost keep someone in here for like 8 seconds. So like, if you're playing into like a Cho'Gall or something, sure, you can keep him cocooned forever, but like, you've now essentially taken what would be like a VP, where you literally have that person, but Anubarak has to stay in this stupid little circle. And so it's not great, and yes, it does damage, but like, I can't even tell you what the damage is because like the target dummy doesn't register it because it's outside of the prism. So it's kind of awkward. So I would most definitely not recommend taking Crip Weave. The main reason you take Anubarak is because you want Rewind. So Rewind is one of the strongest skills in the game. It can be game breaking on its own, even if you don't even have help. Being able to stun someone 4 times in under a second is crazy. So similar to Uther and Muradin, you want to be able to use all of your skills and sync them up to get that kill. So you'll usually start with your W or your E, you'll hit your Q, and then once you're finished with those, you're going to toggle your rewind to be able to reset your abilities again. And so I need to toggle cooldowns here for a second, so that way you can actually see the full damage. So at level 20, I'm just going to hit one target. So it's W, Q, rewind, Q, back up, W, or E. Like, you're doing almost 3,000 damage by yourself. So any squishy target it will be chunked, as well as at level 20, you can now cocoon. You can now find your picks or engages by cocooning, and then engaging, popping a rewind. Like, you're going to be really disrupting and making sure that they don't get to do their game plan. So, I highly recommend Rewind and go into practice mode and just keep trying to make sure that you've got your combination of skills. Don't forget, you can also use Rewind to get super far out of your like, you can get out of dodge with with Rewind. There was a game this season where the enemy team was trying to race on BOE, and my team was called to just go core because they're racing and I'll just stall backs. And so it looked really funny. It was me diving in 1v8 because they had Vikings. I just dove in, rewound, and dove back out. It's like, but I was like, it's just something where they see me dive in, and most Anubaraks, once they're in, either the team's following up or he's on an island and you can kill him. So it's a lot of fun there. The other level 20 that I really like is the Trader King. And so similarly to the level 1 talent of Taken Regen Master, this can be the difference between you dying and not dying. The fact that you can gain armor, 75 armor, and you get 10% bonus max health right off the bat. So it's one of those talents that I think people don't actually even know exists sometimes, just because everybody's so used to seeing Rewind. But you just flat out get 20 magic armor all the time. And then when you pop your W, you get your bonus. So if you took the level 1 here, you can have 80 magic armor just walking around because I'm a new brak. So it's like, it's really dumb. And then on top of that, if you need a get out of jail free card, so it's like 75 armor, you pretty much can't die if you push this button. Like if you are getting blown up, chain CC'd, you see it's coming, say it's like you can be safe because it's not just spell armor, it's all armor, and you can see that by the change in the symbol. So magic armor has that one versus the all armor as the other one. So, all right, I have a lot of questions I'm getting pinged on. I want to ask. I want to make sure that it's there. Okay, so Valk asked some good questions. So, does the armor stack with the other one? No. So when you hit this one, you will get you'll just jump to 75. So you can't get to 95 spell armor. I believe that is how that works.
Choose a talent.
So
Choose
one
a
way you can
talent.
test.
Choose a talent.
So if we took the bonus spell armor, here you go. You're at 60 anytime you push a W now. And then we'll just jump down to the trader. So at the trader, you're sitting here with 20. You push your W, you go to 60, right? So you can't get them to stack. And in the same way, when you pop Trader of the King, I can be at 60, and then I push number 1, and it just makes me go to 75. So unfortunately, you can't armor stack like you used to in the game. So other questions I see: does debilitation reduce the output of healers if you hit them? Yes, that is one of the big things for canceling double support. Is you are able to reduce the amount of healing they do because of the spell power. Other question: how does debilitation work against Cho'Gall? I think you get a 2-for-1. They both get reduced by 50%, so it's pretty cool being able to make a new bracket a very strong quote-unquote Cho'Gall counter, just because you can either remove Cho'Gall from the team and kill his teammates, or you can stop his heals and try and kill him. I recommend usually killing his team and then killing Cho'Gall, because if you try and focus Cho'Gall, he has a lot of self-saving mechanisms. So I saw a couple more questions I want to answer, so I'll just quickly go over the 3, I'll say, builds that are really kind of what you're looking for. So if you know the enemy team has spell armor or spell damage output, they have a Chromie, they have Ming, they have Kel'Thas, they have Jaina, feel free to just take the bonus spell armor. It is easily going to increase your effective health pool. Just feel free to get it. Outside of that level 1 choice, say it's like if you don't need the spell armor and you're not going to get blown up, feel free to play with this Beetle's talent. I think it's slept on. It gets you so much vision that it can be really strong. On 4, you kind of need to pick right away here. Do I think I'm going to be auto-attacked a ton to where, or have enough dot damage to where my W's are going to get procced on Chitinous plating? If you don't think so, then don't go this movement speed unless you need it for something specific. You're trying to get away from somebody, you're trying to body block a big hero, just take barbs. It's the easiest one. And if you need to dive deep, under King. So if I had to give you kind of like my standard tanking thing, I'd say, sure, we take spell armor, I take bed of barbs, I take Beetle's heal. Oop, not that one. Whatever. It's Cocoon. And then I would take Burning Beetles. And then at 16 here, you once again get to pick. If for some reason they're letting you auto attack like crazy, Beetlejuice is nuts. But I have yet to really find, outside of maybe Storm League, a situation where I'm like, oh yeah, Beetle build is the best build. Because once you engage, you're either killing the target or you're getting killed. And Anubarak should be getting CC'd, he should be having tons of things being thrown at him, and so he shouldn't be able to auto-attack. But essentially, you spawn a beetle on every 4th auto-attack. And so I wish that this talent worked on any auto-attack, and if they did change it, then I'm going to quickly change my recommendation. Alright, I changed my recommendation. This is amazing. I forgot that they fixed that.
Yeah, that was a couple patches ago. They went from 3 hits on heroes to 4 hits on anything.
Yep.
But it is important to know that it times out.
Mm-hmm.
The new Blessed Momentum on Johanna doesn't time, or Blessed Hammers on Joanna doesn't time out, but
so
Beetle
silly.
build does.
Yeah. So this can be really good for sieging on your team. Like if you go full beetle build, say it's like you now have one of the best quote unquote race sieging tanks that you can get because you're able to just drop beetles and keep going, and the towers, as long as you don't hit a hero, will focus the beetles first. So you can do a lot of backdooring and a lot of safety for that type of information. So yeah, this is definitely viable, but I think you're going to want to usually stick with debilitation or epicenter. But once again, check what your team's playing and what your win condition is. And then lastly, I think rewind is probably the standard, but you can feel free to grab Trader King. And then just to show the off lane build, so I think
Choose a
Anubarak
talent.
can be played in the off lane,
Choose a talent.
but you need to specifically be um, your job if you're off laning Anubarak is to just soak. You're not actually going to double soak. You're not going to have priority on wave clear. You are bringing Cocoon. You are bringing 4 stuns. You are bringing something to the team that's absolutely needed, and you can totally do something like that, unlike Battlefield of Eternity on Volskaya. Like maps where you don't actually need to win your lane's wave clear. So it's like you can now draft someone in your team that can clear a lane. So it's like, but he will throw all of his abilities at it. So your wave clear build is going to be Legion of Beetles to get the extra clear, barbs. You want heal. You depending on, like I said, if you need cocoon or not. But off lane, you might want to take Locus Swarm just because it gives you more healing and more damage when you do show up. But we'll assume Cocoon. It's going to be birding beetles. It's honestly going to be, again, dependent on what you want to do here. But I think you could go make a case for off lane being all beetles, just so that way you have more ability to clear lanes and to do stuff. And then I would definitely take rewind. But you may need armor and health. So yeah, so that's the off lane, and then I think the other one I already showed, but just real quick again, is if you go all W's, make sure you're getting value out of this number 7. If you're not getting value out of this 7, you shouldn't have gone W build. So, but it definitely can work and can do a lot of damage. We'll probably take that one and rewind. So, just like I said, it's pretty fun. I think Anubarak has a lot of viability and can do some good stuff. I have a couple other notes that I wrote down to go over, but I want to make sure that I get a chance to answer you guys' questions as well. I feel like I just talked for 50 minutes without any interruptions, and that's not normally what I like. But yeah, I guess just kind of pulse in the crowd here. What would you like to know? Any other information that you're curious on, or builds, or yeah, what makes sense for you guys?
Hey, my my first question would be, if you're what kind of when you're drafting, when are you looking to want a new Barak maybe against the other team, and then I guess this also combines with what are you looking for on your team maybe like if you're when's the best time to pick a new Barak based on who else is on your team to make it work the best?
Great question. So Anubarak, like I said, has strong vision with his beetles. So you potentially want to draft him on maps where vision needs to be controlled. What's cool about Anubarak is that he has an unstoppable E. If you remember, Muradin used to have this, where Muradin could dig out and you couldn't mess with him. So it's like as soon as you cast it, you will get out. So that it seems kind of silly, but if you watch some of the old HGC games like Dignitas, they have Anubarak sitting in the triangle of death on Dragonshire and just waiting, and as soon as he sees someone, he E's. And he's always out. Then like you cannot interrupt this dig. I don't know how many times I've had like a tank Uther walk up to me to try and stun me, and I just dig out because I don't care. So definitely, if you need vision, Alterac Pass is another good one because you can cheese the objective. You can drop all of your beetles by pushing all 3 buttons, and your beetles will distract the minions, and you can solo cap the objective. So that's also something pretty tricky that you can do. I really like him for as far as what do I want him on, like when am I drafting him? I'm drafting him in a more of a pick blow up type comp. He really like he doesn't bring a lot outside of his 4 stuns, which sounds kind of funny. But like if you are able to land your stun combo on someone, that should be enough time for your CC support or CC DPS to follow up and make sure that that person dies. So, things I like drafting with Anubarak, specifically would be hard CC. So like Stukov, Malfurion, Tyrande, even Anduin and Deckard can work. So I said the biggest problem with those two is that their CCs tend to be a little bit slow on release. So your Deckard player would need to be in position as you're diving in and making sure that that triangle and the slow Ruby would hit. Sapphire, slow Ruby. Ruby is a gem. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as drafting with him to make sure that you guys do get your picks. Like you want quick blow up fights because your cocoon only lasts so long, right? It only lasts what, 7 seconds? So 7 seconds if no one interrupts it. So when you're ready to engage, you drop your cocoon, you're going in, you're blowing up somebody, throwing all your buttons at them, and you better hope that this person that you just threw all your stuff at dies. Because if he doesn't, like you've got nothing left to be able to help your team. So, and then you're talking about what's good into Nubrak, I think was your other part of that. Um, One of the things that you can do is a Nubrak, unfortunately, is an all-in tank, similar to ETC. Um, Once he's in, he's not going to be able to get out unless he has rewind. So feel free to try and punish the Nubrak, especially with high AAs. Like I said, all of his protections and spell damage, so you're able to chunk him pretty hard just by auto-attacking him. If your enemy team has like a Tychus, when I play against Tychus, I'm specifically holding buttons just to stun as soon as I see his little minigun fire up, because I don't want to get blown up. So, does that answer everything for you there, Unicycle? I think I went on a tangent at the end.
No, that was pretty good. I think so. Yeah, mostly. I think the one question I had though about was again going into the other team is when do you want to pick him based on what the other team is picking? Because I know, like for instance, you want to pick Tychus when you see super high health heroes on the other team, but
Mm-hmm.
when do you if you got a tank pool of 4 or 5 tanks,
Mm-hmm.
when are you like, oh, I'm excited to take Nubrak into these heroes? Who are you wanting to take him into?
Hmm.
And maybe that's not important. Maybe that's
No,
a dumb question.
no, it's a good question because like you're right. Because like, so to flip that for a second, like if you said, Rock, when do you want to take ETC? I'm like into Garrosh all day. Literally, Garrosh cannot do anything the whole game. ETC is just going to boop him away, and Garrosh is going to hate life because he can never engage. So, in that same perspective, you're like, when would I want to take a Nubarak because I'm just going to totally demolish the enemy team because they pick something stupid, right? It's like, I think a Nubarak just really likes to punish squishy heroes that necessarily need to cast abilities. Like, you bring so much CC and interference that even though they might be able to cast abilities, they can't do what they want to do. I really like a Nubrak into solo tanks. So depending on the map, sometimes people don't draft a lot of bruisers. It's very rare nowadays. I feel like everyone drafts a ton of bruisers. But if they only have like one strong defensive person or backline, say it's like single tank Joe used to be a thing. Say it's like a Nubrak into Joe is amazing, especially if you can cocoon from out of vision, because you just cocoon Joe and you just walk past her and go kill the team, because Joe literally can't. He's just gonna sit there. Higher skill level though, the Joes tend to be able to push their D, and if they do, then you just lost your cocoon. So that kind of sucks. Similarly, I like I like a Nubrak into Diablo, but once again, it's a skill matchup because if Diablo goes in and tries to like APOC combo somebody, as soon as you see the charge, you can just push your cocoon. Say it's like, and you can hopefully cancel some of their engage or make it to where it's not going to do a lot. But Diablo also has Fire Breath, which makes him unstoppable. So if it's cast in vision, Diablo can just push Fire Breath, and now he's doing damage to your team that you said we're going in, and he doesn't get cocooned. So, yeah, I honestly don't have tons of situations where I'm like, I don't want to draft a Nubarak. It would be more of the team's goal or win condition doesn't involve blowing up somebody. So, hopefully that helps.
Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense for sure. Yeah, it's the way you're viewing it. It's a little more on what your team is doing rather than their team for the most part.
Correct. So, because like
Okay.
if they have once again, if they have Chromie, Sergeant Hammer, stuff that you need to be able to dive to, a Nubrak can be that first piece of the dive to help close that distance, so that those can be very helpful. But like in the same vein, that might be stuff that you don't want to do because it's too risky. So, but yeah, um,
Thanks.
no problem. Anyone else out there? I know Ezreal came in pretty early and asked a couple things. Did we get everything covered for you, sir? Or I see Mr. Craig. What would you guys like to know?
What is the best skin and mount for a Nubarak?
Oh man, I think it's hilarious to see a Nubrak on a Hearthstone card. It's really funny to have a big body floating around like on a magic carpet or on a cloud. As far as the actual skin, I think I take the cyber one, the yellow one, makes him look like Bumblebee. I think that one's cool. So get the Bumblebee, a new Brack with the angry cloud makes me laugh. So,
Thank you.
I got a couple. Oh, there's another questions. Valk, when do I draft a new Brack? I asked myself, did they ban my one trick ETC? If yes, I draft a new Brack. Okay. Thanks, Valk. Anyone else? As far as like I said, I'm here for you guys. I know technically session's done, so if you need to get ready to jump into the next one, there's a couple of really cool ones coming up next. I'm actually gonna make sure to listen to the drilling and practicing and how to practice well. But yeah. Anything else you guys would like to know about a new rack?
I don't have any questions, but I learned a lot from this presentation, and it was lovely. I might actually start taking a Nubarak as one of my tank options.
Awesome. That's honestly part of the goal is finding out what makes sense. And sadly, you're probably going to lose a lot of your first Anubarak matches just because your team needs to be able to be here on your engage. Like that is so much range that even though you're calling a target or you're engaging and it's like, oh, Vala's out of position and you throw all your stuff, she tumbles away because like you need to have that next follow up on a squishy target like that. And so it's this rough thing of like until you hit 20 to where you can pretty much lock down anybody permanently. Yeah, it's a razor's edge at times digging in deep. So, and then feel free to just kind of customize what you want talent wise too based on the need. Um, but yeah, I said, awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you guys. I'm going to cut the recording here in a couple seconds if there's not another question. But thank you for your time. Thank you for, and then if you have any other Anubarak questions, tanking questions, I'm pretty available on the server. I'll be happy to answer. I don't claim to be a pro or anything, but I like this game and I like helping people. So, yeah, just check back in. And thank you for joining me tonight.